ni sawa kusema hauko sawa.
Interesting. How long have you been in the choir? How long have you been in the choir?
I think some months. Yeah.
How long have you been in the choir?
7 years.
Guy, when do you ulikuwa unasema 7 years? Ni wewe? How long have you been in the choir? So 2 years.
1 year.
1 year. 7 years. Hey, ungekuwa Jacob ungekuwa umepatiwa Lea.
Bana. Alafu ndo ni realize nimecheza.
Alafu 7 years zingine. So basically mimi na Rags tumekuwa kwa choir for over 14 years. Tushapata zote. Okay. Habari zenu?
Nzuri.
Mko sawa?
Kabisa.
Mko fresh? I like that. Mko best. No, that's a very very nice like phrase. Uko best. Do you think that the way you express yourself when someone asks how you are, or do you think that's a proper reflection of how you're feeling as a man, or is it just you saying it ndio acha niwaambie hivi ndo waachane na mimi sasa nisumbue?
Yeah. Me personally na feel hiyo ndio inakuanga the direction. So like if someone tells me ni aje, I mean niko fit, si ndio? Cause there's that labda naweza isema ni expectation. Like when ni mwanaume, mimi ni mwanaume, si ndio? And unless yenyewe ni hali maututi, unacheki kila kitu iko sawa. So you're just overall saying that, well, tuko tu fit regardless. So yeah, that is what I think. But hiyo ndio inakonga like the basic answer. Yeah, so naweza sema it's not really accurate. Yeah.
Anyone else?
Okay, now for me answering your question, mimi na feel watu ifanya vibaya. Mtu ukiniuliza how are you, of course nasema fit, but at some point utapata I'm not that well, I'm not that good, you see. And again, it is more of I'm hiding something. Then I'm feeling like it needs to be honest. Okay, how are you? Yes, I'm fine. I'm not good because this and this and this and this is happening. Then I think that's the way to go. But sisi feature, we don't say the actual thing. We say niko fiti chonjo ya chonjo, the story ishe mbio.
Yeah, me told on that. Yeah, mtu anakuelezanga ka uko poa, but mostly because tumezoea tunasemanga tuko fit, but in real sense most of us are not okay mentally, si ndio? We just say tuko poa, but na feel vile amesema inafaa kama mtu akuuliza uko poa, not just uko poa alafu uende, just we need to talk, si ndio? Ndio ulize ka uko fit, tuongee nini, umeshindaje, what's not, hivyo tu. That's my view.
Personally for me, when someone asks you, mtu akikuuliza uko aje, people have normalized it ni kama ni salamu. Uko aje? Niko poa. Hiyo ni salamu. Someone can't express what they feel inside or what they have mentally. So mwanaume haezi open up aseme unajua ni hivi na hivi na hivi, because I don't know, people judge, or maybe people just assume it, okay, you are a man, so hata kama uko poa, that's none of my business, yeah.
That's interesting, an interesting perspective. Like brings to light the question of like when someone says it's okay to not be okay. Like what does that phrase mean to you? Ukisikia phrase ka hiyo, it's okay to not be okay. Like what does that what feelings do you get when you hear that phrase?
Okay, for me I think mtu akitumia phrase kama hiyo, I think they are in this world whereby wamenormalize kila kitu like iko poa. You see, like mtu amenormalize a problem whereby when you say that problem it is normal to them, and again like in kitu wamezoea, so mtu akitumia kitu kaa hiyo, it does not like it is not a big deal for you, ama it is not something very special that you are not okay. Actually it is normal, it's part of life. We'll say that.
Mi nasema hiyo swali, that question kidogo nasema ni swali nyeti, na kama I was just thinking out loud, ama let me think out loud. So my thoughts were, it reminded me of the time I got my first injection. Najua pale kwenye makalio, alafu daktari anakuambia so wakati ni huu, it is okay, it is. So yeah, that is the feeling I get when someone tells me that it is okay not to be okay. So it puts me in a position where I have to be vulnerable. So like you're telling me I have fungua roho, and then nabaki okay. It's quite new to me. So that is the feeling I usually get. So when you tell me what does it mean, even in a mean kwangu personally, ina feel nyeti sana. Ina feel ni kama mtu ameingia kwa room yako, kama mtu ameingia, unafanya nini? So vitu kama hizo. Yeah. That is how I feel.
It's a very interesting perspective to look at, because it immediately brings in the context of vulnerability and trust and confidentiality. So uko place mahali uko, mtu anakuulizanga kama uko sawa, unaambia tu uko sawa. Alafu like you're in this place and in this space where now people have normalized saying it's okay to not be okay. So if you have any issues, if you have any problems, it's fine, it's normal. But then that brings into the space of like, you're like, okay, so because it's normal, you expect me to share. And there's that expectation now. You feel like there's an expectation for you to be vulnerable because we've told you it's okay. It's not a problem. So when it comes to trust and confidentiality, when being vulnerable, if you've never done it before, or even if you have, how did it feel the first time you did it? If you have, how did it feel the first time you did it? Or if you haven't, why have you not yet done it?
I'd say me, the first time I did it, it gave me that, you see that feeling of when you're doing something for the first time. For instance, when I first sang before a group of people, see, it comes with a lot of, naweza sema, anxiety kiasi. Unabaki zile za enyewe naenda kufungua roho, si ndio? And then you speak, so a lot is going on in your mind, and you're like, have I said too much? Have I not explained myself well? No. And then now you're there asking yourself, what is he thinking about what I've just said? Does he think I'm a loser? Let's say umemwambia kitu fulani, probably something you failed in. Does he think I'm irresponsible? Does he really, does she really understand from where I'm coming from? So that is the feeling that it usually gives me. The feeling that I felt the first time I opened up to someone from a personal level, from a one-to-one. Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay, my first time I opened up to someone, I was actually insecure. Nilikuwa insecure. Kuna ile kuogopa, unafikiria huyu atanifikiriaje, how will one perceive of me, how will kwana sijua the perception of mwanaume inafaa kuaje, si ndio? Mwanaume inafaa uweke hizo feelings huko, si ndio? In a way wanasemanga mwanaume inafaa uko na feelings, si ndio? Sasa uko hapo una open up, sasa unafungua roho, unamwambia hii ndio shida yangu, actually I'm not okay. But after you do it, me when I did it, actually you'll feel like a load imetolewa, like it's uki open up, it's like let go of something, sindio? There's something that's in your heart that ina pain, sindio? It's actually good to say you're not okay. It's okay to say you're not okay. Yeah.
Personally for me, I've never opened up. You know, for a man, ukipata una open up, it's really hard. Hata if a man opens up to you, you're like, ah, you don't take that situation seriously.
Jamaa ako serious kweli.
You know, you unamwangalia ni kama, you're not a real man. You know, a man, you should be strong. That's how let me say, the African tradition is, or maybe even the rest of the world. As a man, it's not that easy to open up. Kuna quote nilisoma mahali, it says, don't trust a laughing man. You know, for a man, unaangalia situation yako, you are like, hey,
Mwanaume unacheka mbona? Mwanaume afai
yeah,
kucheka.
kucheka. Do not trust a laughing man. Ni nini funny na hii maisha unacheka? Si unaona? Maisha ni ngumu, unacheka, you see? So in that perspective, the mental health of a man is, you'll find that you won't be okay. You are looking okay, but deep down you're not okay. Yes, you have a problem.
So mwanaume hafai kucheka.
Really fun.
Okay, so okay, opening up at some point, let me say, kama mimi ni kitu manze, before ni open up, hapo unakuwa umejipeleka meeting sijui ngapi, umefikiria sana before you open up kitu unataka ku open up. Lakini for me nimekaa environment fulani, you have a problem, your problem inapigwa jokes, inakaa kitu unaizoea sasa, inakaa kitu ni normal. Unaona, inafika hadi mali sasa, hata vitu ziko zinanisumbua na watu wanalala huko. Bro, bado unafikiria? Nilikuwa nishalala Kenya nalala. Bado unasema sasa sana open up nini, unaona? But now that aspect of opening up at some point ina bring a sense of relief. Kuna hiyo sense of relief, unaambia mzee kitu inakusumbua, unaambia baba, ni kusema kweli inaweza kuwa tunachekanga hapa hivi vizuri, but kuna wenye sifai kitu tunafanya, sifai venye umeendanga kunitreat. Then una open up, una find that guy hata kwa anajua kitu kile inafanyika, alafu unakuwa like, so you don't love when I do it this way. Like, you know, for example, then unapata you people are coming to the same terms na vitu zinakuwa fiti. It is a sense of relief on its own kind.
You're really being in a space where you can talk or you can open up. It's not all negative. Like there's a positive, and not just for like a person from a personal perspective, but also in the aspect of the relationships that you have with people. Being able to open up to them and like honestly tell them, like as the example you said, by the way, I do not like how you did this. And turns out atakuwa anajua. Mtu anaweza kuwa nakosea na ajui kwa sababu wewe umenyamazia. And it's a very interesting an interesting thing to do. And when you take that and then bring it closer home, because I remember you spoke about in African context, but now like when we bring it locally to like a Kenyan context and how you grew up, like, do you think the fact that you have never opened up, as you said, you don't open up to people, do you think the fact that you have never opened up, is it something that you grew up seeing, or is it just like, do you think it's a Kenyan culture thing, or like, is it something that you decided for yourself personally that you wouldn't do?
I think it's not a personal one. It's like for the culture of the people, of the men, let me say. The men rarely open up, because when you open up, you find yourself that you have not gotten the help that you needed. Maybe you can open up about your relationship. Unaambia bro, unajua bro, ule dem ananicheza, and people are like, wow, si tulikuambia, and they laugh. You're like, should I have opened up? Then they will use you as an example. Uliza ule bro, alifanyiwa ile kitu. You know, that's not cool. You don't feel good when it happens to you. That's why people personally prefer not to open up. I just solve problems like that personally.
Interesting. Anyone else with any perspective?
Now, when it comes to now in Africa, now let me say maybe in my community, Kenya, it is kind of an expectations from the society. We kama mwanaume kuna tu vitu huwezi ongea, unaona, na ndo upate mtu ameongea ameopen up ni kitu imemsukuma na option nyingine kabisa, au venye anaomba amesema at some point you sit down then you filter what to tell people. You at the end of the day wewe utakuwa topic kama utakuwa sana nini kioko, wewe utakuwa sana mfano katika nini sentence, unaona. Sasa ndo unatumiwa like wewe sasa ndo nakuquote kwa nini mata fulani but now huwezi taka kitu kaa hiyo, so kuna tu venye unafikiria ni open up ama nini, but again hiyo ku open up kwa society inakuwa ni expectation. Like sasa ni kama kila siku alilie bibi yako, so unamwambia sema no leo no ukweli leo, unaanza kumlilia unamcomplainia kila siku. Kuna tu venye pia hata you feel like iko poa, unaona feel una analianga hata kuuliza kwani watu wengine wanalianga hivyo kama wewe, unaona. Sasa so like ni something to do with community expectations.
Well, me na agree, but also na feel the evolution ya the society. You see from the tukisema the African context, unajua tuko mbali sana na kitambo, so you can see your grandfather pale, probably great grandfather amevaa ile ngozi ya kondoo, naona ya kufunika tu loins, yani hunter and gatherer, ndio. Lakini so na feel during that time in as much as we may not understand it now, na feel they had a system ya ku make sure that the child at every single stage ako catered for. Na so for instance tukiangalia story ya circumcision, ndio, hata mi nakumbuka time yenye nilipitia hiyo process. Grandpa nilikuwa kwa kikao ya wazee hivi, unapata grandpa and then maanko pale, the mothers wameambiwa ende wakaekae huko somewhere, ndio. Na ananiambia so now if you were in the old days tungekupatia size pia na shield, tukwambia so now you're transitioning into manhood. So now, and what I see from back then, they didn't just leave you there. No, they would tell you now this is what you need to do, and them understanding what comes with transitioning to be a man, what a follow up, like let's say kama ni hunting and gathering, mbona ujakuwa successful for the past 3 months, let's say, which could be a cause of stress and is a later mental issue, but you see they follow up and they go to train. So that's what I feel. And the thing about now westernization, once it may come, I feel kulikuwa na a great disconnect, so where priorities changed. So now instead of thinking as a community, tumekuwa broken down to think as a family setting, alafu more individually. So like sai in a community, let's say if you went back in the 90s, my problem was my neighbor's problem. So kama sina chumvi bado siezi and target chumvi kwa neighbor, and I see that same thing hata sai tukienda ushago, if I don't have a place to sleep sikuna jirani. So it's no point of stress. But right now with this modernization and everything, people's lives have become self-centered. So where I'll be like, why are you telling me of your problems? Because sahi uchumi ni mbaya and I have a family to feed, probably I have this and that. So I feel westernization imechangia sana the thing to do with what we are encountering right now. So my view ni back in the days things were a little better. Yeah.
It's interesting. That is such an interesting perspective. way out of left field, because a lot of people, when we talk about Kenyan culture or African culture, it's always like, no, as a man, you're not supposed to share. But that's such an interesting perspective to look at it like that, because instead of taking what we've been doing, what I feel like we've been doing is using a modern individualistic mindset to try to understand a past communal mindset. And that's why I think that's where the disconnect had happened. And then that's a very interesting thing, because then when we move into talking about support systems, that's literally what communities were before. Communities were your support systems in every, as you said, in every stage. So if, because of the modernization of the world in itself, and of course Kenya, we haven't been left behind in the way that we think, because those types of settings and support systems don't exist anymore. Like, what do you think you can do now to formulate such support systems?
So I would say there are, there are a number of ways we can try to counter this. So for instance, if I could mention the group that I joined after high school, that is the Kenyan Boys Choir, which is us. So once joining the group, now it became something similar to a community. Now, let's say if I was to relate it to the past now, because now I have people around who are not necessarily at the same age. There are some who have gone ahead of you, Kiasi. Nana. And because we are together as a brotherhood, we are singing together, we are dancing together, you'd find that if I misbehave a little, you'd be like, hey, brother, what? Nini, rada. If I miss practices for some time, you'd find someone reaching out. So that is what I feel lacks in the society. And I feel getting yourself into, getting yourself into constructive, good social groups, or us taking the initiative to create social groups, because social groups that would help people to freely communicate with one another. So, for instance, social groups can be based on people's talents. So, for instance, if we are a group of actors, we can decide, we I get to know about this brother. We work together. If I'm, yeah, so like such groups. If we are a group of singers, let's say singers in the entertainment field, yeah, we could get together. I see a similar thing in the church. So where we have the praise and worship teams, and people are looking into one another, like whereabouts, where have you been? You're the one leading tomorrow. If you need help, such things. So yeah, I feel that could be a very efficient way to counter this thing in this modern world now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You spoke about what system can we use to bring things in order, or to bring that support system back to life, how it was back in our grandfathers' days. Now, for me, I feel like it is something that I need to start it personally. I need to start it within me. First of all, I have to practice it. Kwanza, I have to. Now I have to normalize. I have to normalize it. Like I have to open up to someone. Like, let me say I'm getting a number. Alafu niambie a number. Say iko hivi na hivi na hivi na hivi na hivi. Unaona? Now hiyo ni mimi nimeanza. And again we can do it by spreading awareness. Let me say, like, now, us as Kenyan Boys Choir, we've actually realized what we are lacking in the society that leads to mental illness. We can spread the awareness. We can actually convince people, or we can convince people to, it it is normal to not be okay, right? Yeah, it is normal. It is normal if you speak up, if you speak what is disturbing you. Again, I really know by now we have organizations and teams and even churches that have come up with a program that actually is helping youth to speak their mind out. And again, it is something that we have to encourage it, to bring it to life. We have to encourage it to make sure that we are all okay as a society. And again, if the society is okay, we are mentally okay, then again, things to do with the economy, businesses, other things will grow. And now, allow me to say something. It has come to a point whereby nowadays kila mtu anaishi maisha yake. Na mtu anakuambia baba, wewe shughulika na maisha yako, unaona? Na ukiniambia mimi nishughulike na maisha yangu, actually focus yangu itakuwa ni mimi peke yangu na jibuild peke yangu. And like kitambo ilikuwa someone's son is going to university, community mzima iko involved. Siku hizi baba unaishi maisha yako, unaona? Na hiyo ni kitu hatuzitaka, tunataka kitu kama hiyo iishe. Imefika mahali hiyo fiadi inafanya mse angekuwa daktari, umeenda uko mjengo ama unafanya kitu au umeumbwa kufanya, unaona? So again ni kitu damage kubwa. So si kama society, mimi kibinafsi, it is my responsibility to bring it back.
Okay, for me, I like to second what my brothers here have said in making the groups, not only like music groups, but hata pale kwa ghetto, pale in the streets, you can just find some friends, you make groups. You know, as men, when you're together, you'll not open up about your situation, but you'll find that you're making stories. Someone mentions their situation, you find that, ule hata yake ni worse than yangu. Then at least you'll get a relief yourself. So that one will also help you mentally.
To add on that, I think sum up, I think it starts on you. You're the one to involve yourself. You need to involve yourself with others. Usiku unakaa peke yako ati unajifunga sema mashida ni zangu peke yako, si ndio? Hadi kama utasema shida zako kwa mtu, involve na watu, just kaa na watu. Unajua ukikanga na watu ndio utajua huyu yake ni heavier than mine. Hadi kama ni the same, unajua si mimi peke yangu napitia hii shida, sinaona? Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Just a parting shot, if any, are there any steps you think that someone who's like, if there's someone who's struggling, and are there any steps you can share for that person to start now prioritizing their mental health, and actually focusing on getting to a space where they feel that they're okay?
Kuna uoga fulani mtu hukuwa nayo. Kuna hii uoga fulani someone like iko within, mtu atanifikiriaje, unaona? The moment we do away with that mentality, hiyo ndio step ya kwanza. Hiyo mentality kasi na ni rahisi sana niambie mtu shida zangu. Ni kama for example now like when tuko now venye tuko home, it is very difficult finding your father anakuambia I love you son, ama unamwambia I love you dad. Unaona ni kitu ngumu. Sijui watu wengine wanafanya hivyo, na watu wengine wakifanya hivyo
Strong.
unaona,
Namwambia strong.
so ndio ufike useme kitu kama ama mimi naambia sasa anemba unajua I love you brother.
Kai.
Lola sasa unaona venye ameenda kufanya inakaa weird, right? Sasa hiyo that weirdness ndio sasa inakujanga kama ndio unataka kuambia mtu kitu unafanya. But now easy step ni like make it normal. Normalize it. Be simple. Unaona? Kwa simple approach someone. Like me, there's a time now for me there's a time fika mali I think it was a fee problem by the way. Na hivi problems that ilikuwa ngumu hadi like nashangaa ndambia nani. Nashangaa sasa if itatoka wapi, and now the pressure was so tight because you are close to exams. Like it is something like 1 week to exams. Ujuambie nani hii story, uwezi ambia hata familia, kuna ile kitu ishi maisha yako. Unaambia mtu kitu ajibu watu, unaona? But now unasema si ni shida ndio imenipata, acha niseme. I said, and those who are able to help walisaidia, nikavile so it is you to open up. It is that simple hivyo. Toka tuko hiyo aibu uko nayo, achana nayo, like be simple. Ongea venye unaweza ongea story nyingine. Ambia mtu hivyo.
Todd, I think another thing tunaweza fanya pia ni to know you're not alone. Sawa, first step, ukishatoa mentality, just know hauyuko peke yako. Sawa, na uko na mahali unaweza saidia mtu ama unaweza involve, just involve yourself with people. Sawa, involve yourself with people, jeke na watu, lakini because men natutrustingi kila mtu, si ndio? Saa hiyo nini aspect ya kutrust, lazima pia uable kutrust. There's always that one person, si ndio, unaweza trust, si ndio? Just involve yourself with somebody mwenye unaweza mwambia stuff yako.
Yes, I totally agree with him, kabisa. And I was just thinking about statements my guy hapa mentioned, like how difficult it is to tell someone ati hata kuisema ni ngumu. Hata kuisema imekuwa ngumu bana. Unajua close proximity. Kwa karibu sana. Unaweza sema akiwa mbali. But anyway. So yeah, it reminded me of something yenye nilisikia mtu akisema randomly that guys ama men usually show their appreciation through action. And for instance, you see your father coming through for you, probably in an embarrassing situation, ama in something important that you're doing, and I come through, not ame come through, like ame prioritize, ametoa kila kitu, he's there, sindio? The same way, let's say I would do for, let's say, a brother, aniambie ni aje, nilikuwa nadai kupeleka demu yangu out, sindio? Ninakwambia cheki, chukua moti yangu, jinice, utanirudishia tu, bora tu usilete na madent or something, ama so vitu kama hizo. So I would see men trying to show appreciation through actions more than words. Hiyo ni kitu yenye nili note, nikajipata pia mimi nasema, so siwezi mwambia but ni ile unaona tunaweza communicate na greeting hadi utaona vile na ku greet, like how I'm greeting you, na baki zile za bro nice, strong. Right. So kitu kama hiyo. And then I would say one of the earliest steps I think a guy or a man should take in when it comes to this mental health thing ni first understanding yourself, getting to know who you are. What kind of person are you? Let's say, are you outgoing or are you kept to yourself? I think those are some of the small things that lead to the big things. So for instance, if I am not outgoing, that means I like my privacy more, sindio? So that means if at all I'm needed to speak out my issues, it will be harder for me compared to someone mwenye ako outgoing. So I feel understanding yourself will help you to figure out how to deal with it. So for instance, I know I'm not very outgoing, senior. As I kept to myself at times, and it reached a place where I felt like this thing to do with mental issue is starting to affect me in a negative way, because I would notice that I'm a little sad. I'm sad most of the time, and I'm not smiling sana. Like you're in a room and you're like, better. No, these thoughts like, hey, inakaa naishi fiti, inakaa kuna life poa kuliko yangu, vitu kama hizo. I wish, so such things. So I realized that it was getting negative. So by understanding myself, I now saw how to deal with it. So for instance, for me, I would have very few friends, but I would intentionally choose the close friends for me to share with things, to let them out of my system. Because now that I know who I am now, now that I understand that I am not very outgoing. So for the people who are outgoing, wanaweza pata, it's easier for them to get. So they're how to counter their situation now. Itakuwa zile za, now not everybody needs to hear your problem. Not everybody is ready to help you. Kuna mseta kusikia, hujalala njaa, umelala njaa, ama ulipigwa kofi na bibi. So nadhani umeconfide kidogo, unasikia story. Weak man.
It's no longer your relationship.
It is not
our relationship.
It is our inakuwa. So that becomes another issue now, but for the people who are outgoing, so whom to tell? For Sisi, how to get to tell someone. So yeah, I feel once you understand yourself, then you'll be on the right track to acquiring good, healthy mental health. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Remember, final words. Your final words. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Really appreciate it. So,
Yes, nitaanzia wapi?
sasa uko na performance anxiety.
Nitaanzia wapi?
Wekelea nini hapa alafu useme. Yeah.
Ndio mtambo I love you.
Atisema mtambo.
Sangu I love you.
Cheza chini. Simsikize huyo mzungu. Sasa mnacheka.
Leo no mafai kucheka.
You are men and you are love.
Iwe ni
You are men and you are love.
kuchekea huko nje.
What is fun? Sasa niseme kabla ni kama tuko kwa interview. Oh.
Angalia hapa.
Okay. You know, there is a quote I saw on a certain novel that says, men do not trust a laughing man. And I was like, you know, so men should not be laughing. What's...
Why are you laughing?
The context of...
Labda
Yeah, sikusoma yote.
Labda ni novel. Wait, labda ni comic book. Alisoma Batman. Do not trust a laughing Batman. Batman akicheka amechiza. Kwa joka.
I was prepared for the interview. I was prepared.